Previously on Up at Noon.
What up, Internet? It's a little bit past 11:59, and we're about to get down on some Greg. Get the out of my face.
Harley, it's cool. Why are you doing this?
What's cool?
It's Monday at noon. This is Up at Noon's time. We post on the internet. This is our time on the internet. We've called it.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
I'll give you this time, but you owe me a back rub.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Up at Noon. Thank you to Epic Mealtime for letting us have this little corner of the internet. But you at home, please enjoy it, because Harley was a lot hairier than he looked. Are you ready to do the Charleston in your mind? Nick Scarpino is here to debate the new RoboCop reboot trailer. Apple's Jonathan Ive is back to tell us about the new iPhones. And with the 15th anniversary of Metal Gear Solid upon us, Meryl herself, Debbie Mae West, is here to dish on Solid Snake. But first, the news you care about. The most anticipated video game of all time, Grand Theft Auto 5, finally comes out tomorrow. So thank you for watching Up at Noon today, because starting tomorrow, people won't even be watching porn on the internet, let alone this show. Sony revealed a price drop and redesign for its PlayStation Vita handheld. So what the hell is your excuse for not buying one now? Wah, it's too expensive. They made it cheaper. Wah, it's too thick. They made it thinner. Wah, it doesn't come in a bunch of ugly colors. They made a bunch of ugly colors. Wah, the screen display is too good. They made the screen display crap. Whoa, wait, what? No. Well, that's... All right, you have a reason to be hesitant. You are okay now. Two men in Batman... Two men in Batman and Captain America costumes rescued a cat from a burning house after a recent children's event. That is a true story. I shit you not. But the weirdest part is that Batman and the cat then went on to have a 100-issue-long love affair, only to have their romance foiled on their wedding night by the nefarious Two-Face gang. Comic books. The Jurassic Park sequel, Jurassic World, has been officially confirmed for 2015. The plot involves who gives a shit, as long as it's 2 hours of dinosaurs eating people and hopefully nothing else other than a triceratops. It's not that hard, Hollywood. Knock it out of the park. Don't f it up again. Xbox Major Nelson called the Xbox One fan-given nickname X-Bone disrespectful and said it undermines the hard work from his team. Major, I understand. The internet people, they can be mean sometimes. But if you think the word X-Bone is disrespectful, never play an Xbox game online. Let's be serious here. Somebody called my mom a slut on Xbox Live once. It's true. It's true. It's true. Well, the name-calling part is true. My mom's not really a slut. Mom, you are not a slut. A trailer for the new RoboCop movie hit the internet last week, and I thought it looked pretty good. But apparently, some RoboCop nerds took offense to how much it deviated from the 1987 classic. Here to tell you why it's hard to make a remake is our very own producer, Nick Scarpino.
Thanks, Greg. You know, Greg, I've never actually remade a film, but I have to imagine it's generally pretty damn hard. I mean, if I had to guess, I'd say that the producers of this film are either changing some of the original plot points in an attempt to make the film and its central character a bit more appealing to modern audiences. Or they're total geniuses. Think of it, Greg. If we did away with every major plot point and tied the original work to the new film, we can reimagine any 80s cop movie and call it RoboCop.
What? I mean, first things first, Nick. We are not going to be remaking any films anytime soon.
Oh, that attitude. Picture it, Greg. An aging LAPD detective is partnered up with a suicidal ex-army sniper to stop a drug ring from importing a huge shipment of heroin. Will they kill the bad guys or each other? Only you will know when you see the movie RoboCop.
Nick, that's very clearly the plot to Lethal Weapon.
Yes, it is. Or How about this? A young police detective from the hard streets of Detroit chases his best friend's killers to Los Angeles, where, with the help of two straight-edge LAPD officers, he thwarts the drug ring and avenges his buddy's death. We'll call it Beverly Hills RoboCop.
I mean, Nick, I don't think this is how it works.
Or this. A young man is accidentally sent to the year 1955 in a time-traveling DeLorean and must get his teenage parents to have gratuitous sex in a car before he can get back to the year 1985. We'll call it RoboCop to the future.
Nick, there is not even a cop in Back to the Future. Strickland's there's no gratuitous sex in the car.
Okay, what about this? A Detroit City police officer is blown to bits by a gang of criminals only to be rebuilt by a private corporation as the ultimate crime-fighting machine in a movie that uses ultra-violence and satirical devices to illustrate the modern decline of American culture.
That is literally the plot to RoboCop 1987.
See, Greg, it just works.
Nick Scarpino, everybody. Thank you, Nick. I mean, whatever. And finally, Apple has officially revealed the next products in its iPhone line. The iPhone 5C and the iPhone 5S. But something about its messaging for the official reveal video seemed a little off. Let's take a look.
In many ways, the iPhone 5C and the iPhone 5S are an extension of our continued connection with our iPhone audience. Every year, like clockwork, we release a new iPhone, and every year, like clockwork, people buy a new iPhone that they don't need, even though they already have the old iPhone. And it works just fine. But this year, we're getting flat out ballsy. What if we released two new iPhones at the same time, and one of them looked like a cheap children's toy, while the other one looked like something an awful nightclub DJ from New Jersey would use to call his hairdresser? Would people buy both phones? One for each stupid hand? Would they have a little baby blue candy dandy phone in their cheap hand and a flashy gaudy gold phone in their rich hand? Who knows? We're just spitballing here. Anyway, these are the kind of questions we here at Apple ask when we're trying to figure out the most ludicrous and obnoxious ways to suck the money out of your fat, bloated wallets every year. Happy holidays!
This show has gotten away from me. Thanks, Brian. Jonathan, thank you, Jonathan. The new iPhone sounds like the best thing since Codec Conversations. Speaking of Codec Conversations, Greg White, my next guest had a lot of them in the Metal Gear series. Here to talk about bringing Meryl to life is Debbie Mae West. As I live and breathe, Debbie Mae West. How are you?
Hi, I'm good.
You were Meryl.
I still am Meryl.
I'll tell you what, in Metal Gear Solid, when they said to call Meryl, and then her number was on the back of the box, one of the coolest things ever.
I got a lot of phone calls.
I'm sure.
My phone was off the hook. It's crazy.
Were you prepared for it? When I mean, we're going to get to how you got this role and everything else, but when you were recording Metal Gear Solid, did you expect that 15 years later it would be this phenomenon?
Absolutely not. We actually recorded it twice, and the first time we recorded it, I was fairly new in the business. I've been doing voiceovers for 18 years, so I hadn't done a lot of games. I had done some cartoons and I did a lot of commercials, but I think Metal Gear was probably the first really big game that I did, and we had no idea that it was going to. I had no idea that 15 years later someone would want to have a conversation with me about it.
So how did you get the role? Was it just something your agent came to you with and was like, stop doing these commercials, video games of the future, see?
Actually, well, I was doing, I was the voice of Lucky on 101 Dalmatians cartoon series.
Of course, how can I forget?
And do you want my dog impersonation?
Yeah.
Oh. No, I'll do that later. But, that was it was actually a stroke of luck because Pam Siegel, who is the voice of Bobby on King of the Hill, she was originally the voice of Lucky. And it's funny, this is a great story because I was in a band and she used to come and hear my band and I would ask her, how do you get into voiceovers? And she was just like, it's so hard, it's so tight, nobody can get in. And she has such a great sense of humor. And one of my first jobs ever was imitating her voice as the voice of Lucky because she had a baby and left the show. And these turn of events led me to meeting the director, and so anyway, so I did that cartoon, and I was as green as it gets. I'm working with the top people in voiceover doing this show, and so I met Chris Zimmerman, who directed all the Metal Gears. I think because of that, like she was I think at Warner Brothers, or they've all been everywhere, but
Sure.
She just would call me in for castings, and I do not remember auditioning for Meryl. I have no idea what it was like. I absolutely remember the first time we recorded it. It was in a studio that was kind of like a house, and David and I got to work together a lot, and then they called us back and had us redo it because they put it on a new platform, and then it blew up.
Oh, okay. So then, when you were reading the script the first time, you're like, what the hell is this?
You don't read scripts.
No?
They don't send you a script. Like, it's not like doing a film where, because there's so many thousands of lines, especially, a star like David Hayter, who's one of the,
I've heard
biggest
of him.
You've heard of him, right?
Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, he has more lines than anyone, pretty much, and there's no way that I don't think he could read through the script. Plus, they don't let that stuff out, so you have to sign, secrecy, sign your life away, and promise not to tell what's going to happen. So it's kind of funny in voiceover. You read so many scripts and you audition for so many things that it all kind of becomes a wash, I think. And I don't remember a lot of the lines. I've gone through and watched on YouTube a lot of the scenes.
I said that? What is he talking
Yeah.
about?
La la li lo lu. La li lo lo. What is it? And so, but it was a great experience, mostly because you don't get to work with people a lot. You mostly record on your own.
Right.
And Chris had David and I work together a lot, and I feel like it really came across, our relationship and our characters really. And of course in the last one that I did, I got to get married to a man who is
Just pooping his pants.
pooping his friggin' pants the whole time.
Did you read that? Did you read that at least and go like, what the f***?
I did.
I'm supposed to be with
did,
Snake.
but I like poop jokes. Like, I love fart jokes so much. So I kind of thought, wow, these Japanese, they really like farting and pooping, and I was kind of amazed, and so I had a lot of fun with it. But then when I realized I had to marry him, I didn't get that. I was like, wait, I don't understand.
I think most of us didn't get that.
Yeah, right? What was that about?
Yeah.
I watched my wedding not long ago, and because I've never been married, so I actually got to have a pseudo wedding.
That sounds creepy as hell. You're like, you're hunched over the YouTube, mascara down your face, veil, ice cream. Not Johnny Siskaska, anybody but Johnny.
Actually, Bang Spees is one hot, beautiful man, so it was fun.
I'll ring him up after this.
Yeah. He's married, but
God damn it.
anyway.
Good ones are always taken. Him, Troy Baker.
Right?
It's just the field's getting smaller every day. So you record it. You're having fun doing that, and it finishes. When did you know it was something special, I guess? Or when did you know it was something different than, of course, your seminal role on 101 Dalmatians?
I think when they actually gave me a Spike Video Game Award for Best Female Human, that was. I should have brought the award. It's a really odd award, but I actually did win an award for being Meryl. And it was years later. It was strange. But so I would just. I gotta admit, I don't play video games. I'm amazed at the brilliance and the coordination of people who can play them. I'm just not. Was never good at them. So I've always been shocked. I've met people in airports. I've met kids at Disneyland. I've run into people where we start talking and have a connection, and I'll tell them who I am and what I do, and people freak out over Meryl still. And I've probably done 50 video games, but she's really the one who has withstood the time, and people still love her somehow.
Right.
You love me, don't you?
100%. No, I always talk about that, and me and David, we knocked back a few, and I got a little sappy with him, saying that like Metal Gear Solid is the game that changed my perception of gaming and where we were going and what it could become. And I think that's why Meryl might resonate so well, is that she was a fleshed out character that made sense, and I think in a lot of ways was something that a lot of people think is lacking in our industry, which was a strong female character. that wasn't exploited or anything, and it wasn't anything crazy. And to see, especially from the original Metal Gear Solid to Metal Gear Solid 4, right, when she shows back up and she's fully thugged out, armored up, and she's leading a team and she's doing all this, and yeah, there it is. I think that's one of the reasons that people still think so highly of her.
Yeah.
So good job on that.
Thank you so much.
Oh, no. Speaking of that, we have a question.
Okay.
I think that pertains to a little bit of what we're talking about here. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, tweet at me, at GameOverGreggy. I tell you who's on the show, Miss Mae West, and then you ask your question. Maybe you get in the air, like M. Kavanaugh did. He says, how does Debbie feel about Quiet's character design? He's talking about Quiet from Metal Gear Solid 5. Have you seen this? We showed it to you a little bit right before we came on.
Yeah,
here.
I was not aware of Quiet until earlier today, and I don't know. I guess she's hot, but I don't get it. I don't. I mean, it doesn't make sense to me with Metal Gear. And as I asked you, I was like, why isn't Meryl in it? And you schooled me because they're going back in time, and Meryl's probably
nobody can get schooled in the Metal Gear Solid timeline. The thing, it's a train wreck, and there's just spaghetti everywhere, and you're like, I don't know.
Yeah, Meryl probably doesn't exist yet, but I think it's a bit much. I don't really understand. I think Metal Gear as a franchise, I think part of what has made this game so successful is the relationships that have been and the writing, and there's really good acting that has gone on in at least the ones that I've seen. And so I'm not really understanding why a girl with no tongue, who obviously isn't going to speak, and she's just going to be looking completely almost naked and hot. Right. I just don't understand the continuity of it.
Right, that was my big problem when it debuted at E3, right? And it's like, I'm not one of these people who's like, oh, I'm so offended and my monocle falls out.
Right.
But it was just like, they show this trailer and how super realistic it is, and all the dudes are walking around in full-on combat armor, and then we get to the one female character they show, and it's just like, breasts. And then Kojima makes some weird tweets about how he's trying to make it more erotic, but then he tries to clarify it by saying, well, I mean, more sexy. And it's like, you're not helping your case.
I don't find her erotic. She just looks like a naked little girl that needs to put her clothes on. Because she doesn't look like a soldier. Yeah. Yeah.
And again, obviously, we're giving the benefit of the doubt here. We haven't played the game. We haven't seen it all in context.
Exactly.
But first impressions here, you are like, what the is going on?
That's what I said when I saw that David Hayter wasn't playing Snake. What the is going on?
So that one caught you off guard as well?
I had no idea. I don't get it. I mean, honestly, I don't know if anyone knows this story, but when we did the first Metal Gear, they were going to, as I say, re-record it, and David actually asked for some money because he deserved it. We all deserved it, and they didn't want to pay us any more than the regular voiceover rate. And he challenged them to match his voice, and they couldn't. And that's the thing. He is that character.
Yeah, he is Snake.
So I don't understand, is Kiefer going to try to sound like him? I mean, I get that their voices are in a very similar place. And
do you think it's blowback from that? I'm assuming we're talking about when you re-recorded. You're talking about Twin Snakes when you did it the second time around? Or even for the first PS1?
It was the first one, yeah. Okay. They re-recorded the first one.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's, I mean, he's done how many games? 4?
Oh, well, I mean, if we start getting into Peace Walker and Portable Ops, he's done a lot.
Okay, so it can't be, because this was from 15, probably 14 years ago.
Maybe they don't like the X-Men movies.
Maybe not, right? And the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever. David's an amazing guy. So I don't know. I mean, do you think he's thinking that they're going to sell more games because of it?
I honestly don't know. It's been a really interesting decision, right? Because like when this got announced, Kojima said it was because he's older now. The character is older now. Right. Or Big Boss has come so far from what it is, and we don't want it to sound the same way. But then in Japan, they're using that same voice actor. And then there is an argument to be made that at the end of Metal Gear Solid 4, Big Boss shows up and talks to Solid Snake, and it's not David Hayter talking to David Hayter.
Right.
But it's still Big Boss. Like, what? I don't know. I don't get the difference.
Right.
And I don't fully understand the decision yet. But again, maybe
do you think they're going to make a feature film, a Metal Gear feature film, and maybe they are thinking
for Kiefer Sutherland in it?
I don't know.
I hope not. Jeez Louise.
Right? I don't know.
A
lot of people like him, and
well, no, I like Kiefer Sutherland. Fine. Don't get me. It's not a knock against him. It's just like when I envision Big Boss or Solid Snake, I'm not thinking Kiefer Sutherland.
Right. Me either.
So what do you do now? It's 15 years later. You've done 2 Meryl games. You just sit back and collect royalty checks?
No, we don't get anything.
Oh, I'm sorry. Just 101 Dalmatian checks?
I actually don't even. I think I get 16 cents if one of those runs now. No, I do. I mostly do commercials and promos. I did God of War 3 last year, which was awesome, also with Chris Zimmerman. And have you guys played that? So I have not heard anything. I was one of the 3 witches. They're trying to with his mind, and that was a really fun role.
Yeah.
And but I haven't. I don't know who's casting me. Come on, here I am.
There she is.
Meryl.
And where are your restaurants if people wanted to come support your restaurants? Because I like to eat.
Yeah,
and I like to drink.
Is on Abbott Kinney in Venice. It's called Willie Jane. It's a southern restaurant, and then organic Mexican food in Santa Monica, which is Blue Plate Taco, which is right across from the beach. You can get some great margaritas, and then I also do fundraisers. I've been to Burning Man a bunch of times, so I have a bunch of friends that are DJs, and I throw a fundraiser once a year called Family Affair. And I raise money for a different organization every year, and people come from all over the country and dance on the rooftop of the Standard. So I've been able, doing voiceover has allowed me to live a really extraordinary life, because you can have a lot of free time within the context of working a lot, and I try to create value with my time and do good things for the planet.
Well, cool. Thanks for being awesome video games, Debbie, and I'm sure I will come down and drink your margaritas soon.
Absolutely, and I'm so honored to meet you.
Thank you. Please, thank you. That's our show, everybody. A huge thank you to Epic Mealtime, Nick Scarpino, Jonathan Ive, Brian Altano, Debbie Mae West, and you, my audience. If you want to be in that very real audience, go.ign.com/up-and-noon for details. As always, Brian and I will be responding to comments the first hour this video is live on IGN.com, so come tell us your favorite Meryl moment in Metal Gear. Mine was when she married the guy who pooped his pants all the time, because it gave me hope as a fellow pants pooper. We'll be back next Monday with Yakko from Animaniacs and Pinky from Pinky and the Brain. You know him as Rob Paulson, but until then, I'm going back to bed. DaveFenoy.com.